Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Trust Relations, the podcast.
I'm here with April, the founder of Trust Relations and the doyen of all things public relations.
And of course, we're joined by the wonderful Hamish, our marketing lead and expert in the space, who I like to call my marketing other half.
We're tackling some of the biggest topics in news and integrated marketing and learning from the mistakes that make headlines or sink brands.
So join us as we have a chat about what works, what doesn't, and what we have to say about all of it. Hamish, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So many goods. Why do we get that many good? Is this like coffee talking, or is this actually you're that good?
I am talking myself into being really, really good. What is it they say?
You're okay.
I'm good. I'm okay. Yeah. if you build it, they will come. I'm working on the same philosophy.
You're using marketing techniques right now
on myself.
On yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Talk myself into it. Oh, that sounds like it's good. I should be on board with that.
I am good. Maybe I'm good.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how I am. And how are you?
I'm good too.
Only one good.
Yeah, because I'm actually good. I have to talk myself into it.
Okay. I see what you said. Yeah. No, I'm good. It's been a busy week. It feels like it's been a busy couple of weeks actually. So I'm good. I think I'm just a little bit tired.
I mean, that's fair. It's what, 6:30?
7 a.m. now.
7 a.m. Wow.
Yeah.
And you're like dressed up and in the office. This is crazy.
I like to look good for everybody.
Well, mission accomplished.
Well, thank you. Thank you very kindly.
Hi, everyone. This is your show producer, Veronica, dialing in with today's communications buzzwords. April's word is stravage. And for Hamish, the word is hokum. Happy listening.
Should we dive into what's new in the news?
Yeah, I think so. We got a good lineup of stuff to talk about this week.
Definitely.
I think I want to kick off talking about the E-Pimping of OnlyFans. I think this is a really good salacious topic to kick us off on.
The salacious word of the day?
Salacious is not my word of the day. That's very unfortunate, isn't it? But it's worth throwing in as an early guess, I guess. No, the E-Pimps of OnlyFans is talking about how marketing companies have sprung up to manage the accounts of OnlyFans models, I guess, to interact with people on their behalf. So they've turned.
We're talking about models, like
I don't know,
female, male, like advertising models.
Well, I suppose so. I mean, OnlyFans, I believe, is full of attractive young, well, I don't even know if they're young only, women and men who are getting out there and selling their wares. The article that I read talks of them as models. So men and women who are selling salacious content, using my word of the day again. That's not my word of the day. They're using companies now to post on their behalf. And there's this article talking about a guy called Jason Rosero, who set up a company managing OnlyFans accounts for 30 women, pretending to be them, interacting with people on their behalves and taking a large cut of the action. And he's called himself an E-Pimp, which I think is probably pretty apt. And from what I can tell, he's making some good coin from it. The thing that I think is interesting that comes out of this is, where's that line of what is right with authenticity and right with where marketing steps in being blurred potentially here? I mean, I know marketing steps into the ring a lot more than it might need to, but this one just seems a little bit more icky. And I don't know why. I mean, pimping has been around for hundreds, I don't know, thousands of years probably. I don't know why this one sits weirdly with me.
Well, maybe because it's like it's so veiled that you don't know who it is. So it could be anyone. I mean, it could be your next door neighbor posing as an 18-year-old girl that you're chatting with, thinking in your head you're visualizing something else, right? And there's something extra weird about that, no?
Yeah, you're probably right, actually. Where pimping in the old days was, look, this is the man or woman
You know
you'd
what you're
like to,
getting.
yeah, this is it. And you take them home or hoteling, I don't know. Home
Depends
is
on
probably,
how much money you have, probably.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, so you have that and you knew what you were getting. I think now the interaction is, well, I'm assuming from this, you're buying photos, but you're interacting with people, from what it says, with
Hmm.
chatting, and you're not actually speaking to the person that you are talking to. So if it was anything else, if I was emulating anybody else, it would be called fraud.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I think people are so on high alert now for catfishing and things like that. If you've done any online dating,
Mm,
and in fact,
no.
this is funny. A friend of mine he has an online dating profile that's not been successful. So I was like, "Show this to me. I got to see what you're doing." And I looked. I was like, "You look like a different person in every photo. If I was a chick, I would not
Mm,
trust that you were a real person. I would think you made a collage of guys that look sort of similar." I was like, "You've got you can't do that. Nobody's gonna trust you're a real guy." So it's like I think people are just already in high alert for feeling like scammed by digital,
yeah, that's a good point.
sort of falsehoods, and I think this is just going even further in that direction and making it worse. And it's also interesting because it reminds me that when I hosted that CTO conference, the summit,
Mm,
there was a guy who was talking about how he had a marketing agency where they had finessed AI to the point where they could have very realistic sounding bots that were interacting with social posts to generate interest in a post, and that people were unaware and unable to detect whether the post was by a bot or a real person. And they were promoting that some of their bot comments were so much more popular than real human comments, that they got all of these likes and follows and
wow.
interactions. So I think there is something to be said for at what point do we draw a line and say this is unethical, right? This is becoming a
Well,
little creepy.
this comes into that whole thing of, we talk, you and I have talked a lot on the show and with our clients about the need for authenticity and how authenticity needs to permeate everything that you do. And that's what people will connect with. And this is exactly the opposite. And your AI bots are the opposite. And it is starting to walk this divide. It's a chasm on one side here that if we drop off, how do we ever get
Mm.
back out? And I think, you know, if people are investing, and this article talks about people spending upwards of $200 for a photo. I can't wrap my head around that to start with, but anyway, if they're investing that much money, surely the exchange that they should be getting is something which is authentic. And it makes me wonder whether or not marketing has stepped too far here in eroding human trust. I mean, as this becomes more popular, people are going to be wondering whether or not anything that they are interacting with is authentic. And that we've already got high levels of consumer cynicism. There's lower attention spans. There are a lot more questions being asked of every interaction we have. I can't see how this type of practice, and I don't want to pick on only this company, and I'm sure it happens elsewhere with
Mm.
other managed accounts of other descriptions, because it's not only the OnlyFans accounts that they're managing. This company called Think Expansion are managing OnlyFans accounts, Instagram accounts, Facebook chatter, all of this other social media presence that these guys and girls are having.
Hmm.
How is it going to affect the way that people in general interact with marketing and brands into the future?
I think it's going to destroy trust even further than it's already in question, right? I think we're having a, sort of a crisis of trust right now across the
Yeah,
board, with
I
media,
agree.
with politicians, now with marketers. That extends to businesses and brands. I mean, I think there's going to be a reckoning at some point. So maybe
I,
this
I,
is what it takes, is for things to go all the way too far in this direction, and then everyone to circle back and say, okay,
mm.
enough is enough. But it also calls into question, should there be any sort of regulation on marketing, right?
Yeah, there's got to be some questions asked around that, because marketing is governed generally. I know there's advertising standards and that there's marketing laws around fraudulent claims and the things you can and can't say. But how does that then extend into things like this? Why is there no more greater oversight to what is authentic, or how do we then divide between what is fraud and what is just marketing. And I think
Mhm.
that is a really dangerous area for marketing to be playing in. I think that it's fraught with danger. I don't know. There's just something.
There's something like deeply upsetting about it and deeply depressing.
Mm, it is, yeah, depressing is a really good word.
I
I
find it
mean,
very like deeply sad.
there's something icky. I don't know. Don't like it. I don't like it. It's yeah, I don't know. What do you? I mean, anything else you'd like to add? Because
No,
I
I
just
feel like I got kind of slimed on by it, you know? Like
yeah.
I need the Ghostbusters now. Like-
I've been slimed. I mean,
it's really icky.
it is icky. I mean, it's so icky because I mean, the marketing agency, full credit to them, have set up full playbooks on how you do things. They're using
Oh yeah, we
30.
didn't get into that. We did read that earlier. So yeah,
I mean,
they've got all the nicknames you're supposed to use to lure people in, and the spaces that you're supposed to use in your texting to make it look like you're a certain age, so you
mm,
have a space
punctuation
between
errors.
your,
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
so it's to make it look more legitimate.
And they're probably getting down into the nitty gritty of saying, okay, well, oh, if it's this type of account, this is the way that they speak. So if you're pretending to be this guy or this girl, you have to use this type of language consistently so that there's
Yeah.
consistency with that person or those people. And if you're talking as this person, you're going to use this language. All just, I mean, it is fraud. You are
Yeah. I
pretending to
mean,
be someone else.
just to give people a taste of the article, because we didn't get that deep into it, but so it says an 18-year-old girl, she texts different than a 25-year-old girl, you know, an older lady. He explained, an older lady won't use emojis. She'll use like a semicolon in parentheses for a winky face, when a younger girl will actually use a winky emoji. When it comes to sales, those details make all the difference.
Yeah, and I was reading other lists, diminutive nicknames. A list of diminutive nicknames
I
they might use for customers.
I threw up in my head a little bit. I
Oh,
didn't
it gets
happen. It
better.
didn't happen in real life. Keep going.
Babes, baby boy, baby, cutie, honey,
Mhm.
good boy, bad boy, boo, sexy. I mean, these are all the words in their playbook that they're meant to be pulling out.
So I think the key takeaway is that the digital marketing world has gotten more and more like the Wild West of ethics, and it's become easier and easier to do things that are very questionable morally and ethically, which doesn't make it right. And I think that marketers need to pay attention to make sure that they don't inadvertently work themselves out of a job by discrediting the entire industry and the brands they work for by losing so much authenticity that it becomes something that can't be trusted at any point in the future.
I like that. And it made me just think, and it's a totally different point, but I wonder if people are going to pigeonhole themselves for a career because people will look down on that industry at some point later. Yes, you can develop a following, but you're not developing the following. The following is actually of the person that, because you've got this mismanagement, you're actually representing a person. You're not representing a brand in this instance. Anyway, slippery slope, don't know. But I liked how you used Wild West. It made me think of Yosemite Sam. Talking hokum and getting out there and being crazy.
It is a little like that, though, right?
Yeah, made me think that.
Let's quickly discuss what happened in Las Vegas with the Elvis lookalikes before we let Bilal into our interview room here.
All right, let's do that. Go.
So, Las Vegas chapels received a cease and desist for their Elvis themed weddings over a trademark battle, which is becoming an existential threat to the small chapel's post pandemic recoveries. So, basically, the group that licenses Elvis Presley, Authentic Brands Group, sent a cease and desist letter to a number of these chapels in an attempt to squash the Elvis themed weddings. And the trademark battle poses a threat to the small chapel's recovery in Vegas's $2 billion wedding industry. Nevada law says ABG can't stop Elvis impersonators from shaking their hips any more than parents in the 60s.
Oh, I like that. That's cool.
It's a cute line. But ABG does claim the rights to the artist's name and likeness, as well as the words Elvis, Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. So if a chapel wants to call it an Elvis wedding, it would have to work out a licensing deal with ABG. First of all, like who
Mm.
the hell is getting married by Elvis in Vegas? This is happening still?
I mean, you wouldn't think so, given that Elvis was 60 years ago. I mean, he died in 77, I think it was. He was well past his prime at that point. And you'd think that people getting married these days don't have a large affinity with him. So it's got a little bit of that novelty factor about it.
Right.
I mean, you can tell me this better. People getting married in Las Vegas chapels, they're probably the ones eloping, aren't they?
Usually, yeah.
So if they're the ones eloping, they're looking for something which is a bit of a story. Therefore,
yeah,
we've got that ability to say.
And there's like there can be an irreverence to it, not always, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I think that then it's we got married in Vegas, we eloped, and guess who married us? Hey, the king
of rock and roll.
Yeah, we're not allowed to say that.
But you can't say that.
Yeah, no, don't say that.
Got married by the king, just the king.
Do we need to have a disclaimer every time
we say that?
We do not own the rights to this term, so please do not sue us. I understand a brand is a brand is a brand, and Elvis is a brand. So I can understand it from that point of view, but I can also see how, one, the resurgence of Elvis-related news with everything coming up with the new movie later this month, I think it is.
So this is a marketing play related to the movie. It's got to be.
I think that there's a little bit of that there. If you talk about it in a way which is a little bit sensationalist, I mean, I think this leans into a little bit more of your realm than mine, but I think no news is bad news. Is that the article?
That's the saying.
Yeah,
I think,
the intent of this, isn't
I
it?
think it is. I think it's just to drive attention to the movie. But is this company related to the movie?
Doesn't have to be, does it? Because all you have to do is you go out and you represent them, Wouldn't be so hard for the agency managing the movies PR to go out and find someone who does something related to Elvis and say, hey, can we do some free press for you? I mean, that's the cynical side of me. Look at me go. See this whole cynicism in the industry.
I like it. I like it.
What have we become?
You mean marketers in general?
We become cynical.
No, we know how the sausage is made. When you know how the sausage is made,
you don't eat it.
Exactly.
That's true.
Wait, what do you guys call your weird sausages again?
Do we have weird sausages? Well, you have the full range: frankfurts, sausages,
hot dogs.
Are you thinking bangers?
Yes.
That's just a nickname for a sausage. Bangers and mash. Who wants bangers and mash? Sausages and potato, mashed potato.
That sounds even more scary. Or more like a party, one of the two. Like a party that could get you in trouble. This is what that sounds like.
You're only doing that because you've been primed to think that way because of that E-Pimp article. Otherwise, you would have thought this was fine. I think the key takeaway is probably very simple on this one. I think that brands need to be protected and that they do have a right to make sure that they're being fairly compensated if there's commercial gain for people using their brand. But I think that this one sort of extends from a bigger brand looking to make money from something, and that's a Elvis biopic that is going to be out in cinemas very shortly, and that this is a great way to keep hype around the name of Elvis front and center in everyone's mind and make them want to go see a movie.
Yeah.
Clever marketing play, I think.
Very good. Very well put. I agree completely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Did you like that?
I did.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was very clever. So today we are chatting with Bilal Qzilbash. He is a good friend of mine and also the CEO and co-founder of EasyKale, as well as a self-described humanitarian advocate and scientist. We are here to shed some light into the strengths our brand analysis, we call it the trust analysis here at Trust Relations, can bring out for any brand. And then we're giving a sneak preview into our very own trust analysis by doing a little snippet of it with Bilal, who's going to be our guinea pig today. So we're very grateful he's on to let us demonstrate to you what this looks like or can look like or piece of it. And also I'm very, very excited to have Bilal share a tiny bit, and this will probably come out through our conversation, but he just got a very, very prestigious patent that is going to basically, I think, break open his entire universe. So very excited for him to share a little bit about that too. But with nothing further ado, I will kick it over to Hamish, who is our fearless leader of the trust analysis.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say welcome, Bilal. Great to have you on the podcast with us.
Thank you for that wonderful intro.
She's very good at the intro. She nailed these down. It's become an art form for her, and I think that was one of her best.
Thank you. I'm blushing.
As April said, we're going to take you through a very small snippet of what we do with our trust analysis. And the background behind this is when we work with brands, trying to help them understand that there needs to be continuity between the storytelling and the story doing. And this exercise tries to hone down into a brand to help understand what it is that they're wanting to go out to market to say, and making sure that when we go out and say it, that there's the proof points that can back up what we're saying, that we're actually saying the right things that are going to be meaningful to both the brand itself and, as importantly, the market and the customers that are going to receive the message. And the whole idea is to make sure that there's continuity between the two, and that's why we call it the trust analysis. If people are going to be listening to this or reading this, they want to know that what they're being told is authentic. So this is where that exercise has sort of come from. You're flying into this at 100 miles an hour, Bilal. And as April said, thank you very much for doing it with us.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I love you guys is authenticness is power.
And consistency is key to success, they say, because people know exactly who you are and they know what to come to expect. And some people will love that. Some people won't, but the people who won't aren't your audience anyway. So, as Seth Godin says, you build things for your people, and those people will love it. So, but let's kick off. One of the key questions that I wanted to kick off with is, what is your market's perception? Not of you, but of the industry as a whole at this stage. When people think of your industry, what are they thinking? Good, bad, or otherwise?
Well, it depends upon which part of the world you're looking at. If you're talking about the United States, it's mixed with excitement in some parts where they actually understand the benefits of the vegetable, ambivalence in other parts, and disgust in other parts of the country. And then internationally, however, looking at kale and healthy eating overall is being very well received. So you're looking at countries like Canada, Mexico, Brazil. Everyone takes it significantly more seriously, and it's really fascinating.
Look, and I think that's the key here in recognizing that you do have two disparate viewpoints, though. So when people are thinking about it, when they're thinking about the exciting parts of it, what are some of the ways that they would describe it if you were to put yourself in their shoes?
My industry in particular, people are mostly focused on health crisis prevention. So essentially, they're focusing on healthy eating to hopefully prevent disease. And the reason I say hopefully, because there's so many people that speak in such absolute, saying that if you eat this vegetable, you will definitely not get cancer, which is absolutely hogwash. As a scientist, you should understand the probabilities of things. And basically, 94% of all cancers is basically how the environment affects your genetics. So even if you're eating nothing but a pure vegan diet, and you're in an environment that's going to expose you to carcinogens on a daily basis, then you're going to have some issues. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think that's probably something that you need to then work to overturn as a misperception, isn't it?
Exactly. So like the other challenge there is the misperception spreads faster than true information. And also, honestly, the truth is not as sexy sometimes.
That's very true.
Yeah, that's one of my problems as a scientist is that I was told recently that I'm a horrible salesman. And I was like, I'm sorry. He said, no. He said, actually, believe it or not, that makes you the best salesman because people like you then.
People, but again, it's that authenticity because you're saying things that other people are not.
Well, I genuinely care about people and I care about their well-being. And that's what I think the whole industry as a whole needs to get back to. So that way we can really focus on each other. That's the true definition of health, because we can't just talk about health as a healthy eating only and take care of that component and exercise. There's mental health. There's so many different components that contributes to a person's overall well-being.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the World Health Organization's definition for health is not just disease-free. Basically, we have to look at the whole human being, the whole experience, and understand what's going on. And we can just dump a bunch of healthy food on people living in a very roach-infested apartment and then be like, oh, I wonder why they have asthma or the XYZ disease. You know what I'm saying? We have to introduce some sense to balance it out, and also, just care about each other. So when you care, then even if we can't fill all the gaps, people will give you a lot of leeway to just be like, yeah, I know you're doing your best.
I think that's exciting. And so I think then that touches on when you talk about you're doing your best. If we pivot, when we talk about perceptions, what about your brand? What do they believe, or what are their perceptions of your brand? And I know you probably can't see my screen at the moment. I've shared it for everybody else for later, but I've already identified that authenticity for you is one of the things that you're seeking to be perceived for, and that you are being perceived for because of the way you talk to market, based on your own statement that you're a terrible salesperson, but that authenticity comes out. What else is coming out? Because I think that bad salesperson moniker is off the mark. I think it probably lends itself to go the other way, as we discussed.
So as I've done many lectures and stuff, the biggest thing that I've been told is that we add value. So even right now, as we're talking about different situations, we're talking about different topics, we're adding value, adding information, and adding value to people's lives, so that way their lives can hopefully improve. Because we're not about just surviving, we're about thriving. And I know that sounds catchy, it can be sexy, and you're like, ooh, yeah, but when someone actually means it and then they execute it on a day-to-day basis, because it's not the thing you do one big time that really makes a difference in the world. It's the actions that you do every day for 5 minutes. That makes the difference, because it goes back again to what you said earlier, consistency, which goes back to the value perception.
Absolutely. And so if we look at that, the authenticity, adding value, I mean, they must have some other, intrinsic thoughts about what you stand for, or what the products give them, or what else can we touch on in that area?
When it comes to my product, actually the first thing they usually latch on to is the fact that we've been feeding the homeless every week for the past over almost 9 years now. And that in itself, that's proof of consistency, and the fact that I, as CEO of the company, go out there myself. Because I had somebody even ask me about the fact that am I not afraid that I'll die? And I was like, first of all, we're all going to die. The question is, what do we do with our lives in that process? And number two, I said, how could you live life that way, fearing other people? Because then you're thinking the worst, thinking the best. So basically, plan for the worst internally, but hope for the best.
We normally, just for your reference, the exercises normally take between 2 and 3 hours. If there are multiple stakeholders involved, it can take even longer. So, obviously we don't have a long time today to stravage, but normally we're able to actually dig in and let them kind of go and talk and talk and talk. But for today's purposes, unfortunately for Bilal, we're going to kind of keep him on the straight and narrow and keep moving with the questions. But normally we would kind of pick a thread and just kind of go down, down the rabbit hole.
Yes, I like.
Well, the other thing I love about you guys is that you also verify. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's very important for us. And one of the ways we do that is, annoyingly, my favorite question during these processes is usually why, and delving further into statements that you make about things and understanding the root cause or the root reason for that, so that we can really, use that as a foundation to build forward from again. Because if you say something, it's one thing, but if you can prove that, then it becomes something which is a linchpin. But look, if I move forward and just to show a little bit more how we operate, Bilal, I would ask you, what if we were to look at the information gap? What do people know already when it comes to your industry and your brand?
So As I mentioned earlier, people consistently know about the fact that we feed the homeless and that we are consistently very community oriented. For example, they brought up the fact that we have sponsored several kids at poetry slams and other events and things like that to help encourage the youth and the Mr. B coding academies, amongst other things. So we're really very, very community oriented, and they noticed that. Then the other element is that we're science based and we're focusing on not exaggerating because there's so many other people lying and trying to oversell. And I was like, dude, literally EasyKale, we're just trying to make it easier to consume kale. That's all it is. I mean, the fact that we're shelf stable for 2 years, that's one of the biggest selling points. And if you need a whole crash course on kale, I'm sure there's tons of literature out there. You don't need me for that. And I think one of the biggest gaps there is most people don't like the taste of kale, and that's so there's very, very select people that do enjoy it, and they reach out to me and they tell me we love it. But most they're like, no, they don't like it, and they said if healthy eating tasted good, more people would do it.
I like that you're like afraid to offend Kale, Bilal. Like, what if Kale hears this? I don't want to hurt his feelings.
It is interesting though. My brother loves kale. He will eat it at every opportunity. I don't. I'm ambivalent about it. I don't love it. I don't hate it.
Well, it's fascinating because Pizza Hut at one point was one of the largest purchasers of kale, and it was meant for decoration for their salad bars. So it wasn't actually being consumed. It was more for decoration. I wish I was joking.
But this actually kicks us off into the next point, just so I don't take up time again for you. What do people not know about your brand, about kale itself?
So I can tell you one secret. EasyKale is produced in Glen Copac, which is they hire mentally disabled individuals to help produce our product. So it's something we've been doing for years. Yes, sometimes there are some errors, like there's maybe a little extra powder on the outside of the packaging. However, we never marketed or advertised that fact. It's just the right thing to do. So we do it.
I like that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Can we ask why?
I have autism myself personally. We function differently. And the biggest problems in the United States in particular is we do not have enough job opportunities for those who actually need it. We basically stuck a whole group of people that we've deemed unworkable, but at the same time, the jobs where we're requiring college degrees to flip burgers. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it's a form of supporting neurodiversity.
Yes.
I love
like
that.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Bilal, if we were to continue this exercise as well, I think, is there other things that you wish people knew about EasyKale or about kale itself?
Or you.
Oh, you, exactly.
About me, I am a huge geek. So it's kind of unofficially official. And we've done several EasyKale things at Comic-Con. When I meet some larger executives and CEOs, I give action figures as gifts. So that's something they can actually expect. And I actually take the time to find out about the personality to make the action figure relevant to them. For years, I thought it was the fact that I was introducing them to the geek world. The reason why they actually appreciated it, and they said, Bilal, that's the best form of marketing because you took the time to listen. So I was listening and learning them.
I like that. I think that is something that not enough people do anymore. And that leans back into what you said above about authenticity. All those buzzwords which we've used before, you are living and breathing it in every interaction. I think that's super impressive.
Agreed. It's cool because while you're basically showing, we like to say we want your storytelling and your story doing aligned. And in this case, your story doing is so spot on. I think the only thing to do extra is tell it better, right? So your story doing is there. We just need the storytelling to come up, to level up to where you are with the story doing. But it's really cool to see.
But thank you. Well, I genuinely love people. And I think every person on this planet is brilliant. It's just a matter of finding out what their talent is and what they're good at and what their passion is. And then we all should rock out together and cooperate. We can do it.
I love it.
That's brilliant. That really, you can hear the passion in your voice when you talk about it. It's infectious.
Well, Bilal, this has been amazing. I don't want to keep you. I think this is a pretty good taste of the full exercise, even though it's just a snippet.
Everything that you've told us, you are doing it, and now we just need to take it forward. And this process is basically designed to find some of those gems of information that showcase who you are as a brand and as a person, and why that's important to others. And then it's just about taking that and framing it in a way that resonates with an audience and getting it out there. So this process basically goes through those steps to make sure that we can tell people things that are going to engage and get them to take action. I think that there's so much great stuff you are doing, and I don't know how much you are sharing with people, but I think lean into it and let people see who you are as a brand. And I think it can only do wondrous things for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Bilal, I don't want to keep you because I know you're at this fancy conference as one of the only 5 companies from Mississippi chosen to be there. So I will, I will let you get back to it. But thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you. I have to catch you up on everything that's been happening. It's been really interesting.
Okay, good. Let's catch up outside the podcast.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Lovely to meet you.
I think we're alone now. So there's an article in Style and Beauty, and it's called The Secrets of Successful Brand Collaborations. And in this case, they're leaning into the celebrity and fashion world, right? Which is obviously brand collaborations don't have to happen just there, but basically about the best performing collections are coming from talent that know their audience and engage with them on a more intimate level, right? So it's picking the influencer that really resonates with your target and then making sure that that feels like an authentic extension of the brand, which is really, I mean, I would argue the most essential piece of a successful brand collaboration is that both brands feel like they organically mesh and that there is a natural extension, even if it's creative and a little bit boundary pushing, but there's still, it shouldn't be a long walk between why those 2 brands decided to do something together.
Well, that's that whole thing of native advertising, isn't it? That the best placed content is going to make it feel like it's not actually an ad or it's not actually a promotional piece because people read it and there's that seamless transition. And I think the same goes for these type of brand collaborations. You want it to feel that it's seamless and it's authentic. You don't want to see a sports star suddenly rocking out in a fashion piece that is so the antithesis of their normal brand that you go, wee, what's happened here? And I think
like Crocs and Hidden Valley Ranch.
Yes, let's lean back into that. That was weird. That was really weird. I still have nightmares about that. And look, whilst I understand that oftentimes the most unexpected partnerships create the most buzz and there's mutual benefit, if you get that equation wrong and it doesn't fit well, you'll go down in a blaze of glory. And I think finding that fine line, I mean, April, question for you. How do you get that balance right? I mean, if you had a brand coming to you saying, we've got this idea, we want you to go out and do this, what are you saying?
Well, I mean, it goes back to something I think we've talked about before, which is that the most brilliant marketing campaigns have a no duh aspect to them. There's something about it that's like, yeah, of course they did that. And it doesn't necessarily feel that impressive because it's so airtight to the brand that it really does just seem like, yeah, of course MasterCard always did the Hearts of Commerce Index to support We Are at the Heart of Commerce, but they didn't, right? And so when you introduce those things, it should just feel one step away from whatever it was. I mean, one example that I still scratch my head about, and I still haven't decided exactly whether this works or doesn't. So there was a Magic Fruity Pebbles mashup with Nike, mashed up with LeBron James.
Wow.
And so they did this like Nike swoosh on the Magic Fruity Pebbles that was related to LeBron James, and then also the sneakers that were in the same collaboration. And it was so weird that it was very attention getting, but it's also so weird that you're like, was this like the mind of an acid trip, or how did this come about? Like, I don't understand why. Like, if it makes your brain hurt like that, normally I would say no, it doesn't work. But in that case, it's so weird that it's good for press, but is it good for the brand? right?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because it can be a flash in the pan, and if it doesn't move the dial, then you've potentially spent a lot of money on not achieving a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, I look at some of the collabs and I think, is this Tom Hanks from Big, who's just come in and gone, I know what we can do? Yeah,
Right.
That's not going to work.
Right. Like there was a recent Velveeta nail polish, and you can put Velveeta nail polish on that smells like Velveeta cheese. I don't know what universe you want your nails to smell like cheese.
She says, rubbing her nose.
I just thinking about it is making my nose hurt.
Well, it's interesting. I was looking in this Forbes
Everyone
article
wants
about
fake non-cheese on their nails. Like,
but I mean, Taco Bell and Cowpack doing a duffel bag. I mean, other than it being orange, tell me how this works.
I mean, it doesn't work as well as the Taco Bell Pizza Hut. You know, in the US, you probably don't have this in Australia, but they had combination Taco Bells.
Yeah, I remember
Pizza
reading
Huts,
something about this.
and there was an entire dance song made by Das Racist from Brooklyn. They did an entire techno song that was like, I'm at the Pizza Hut, what? I'm at the Taco Bell, what? I'm at the combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. And it was like the whole song is like that. That works. I don't know about Taco Bell and Cowpack. Like, why would you want a crappy Mexican restaurant inspired handbag that's a designer handbag? I don't get it.
I don't get it. That one, I looked at those examples like, I don't get it. And like the sunglasses by Key and Paris Hilton, sure, I see that. I could see her wearing those.
Of course, those do look like Paris Hilton.
That works really well. And what works really well for that is it's at a price point that a lot of people will want to jump on. So that one, you can say, aspiration, I want to be like Paris. That works.
I like the voice you gave to the women that want to be like Paris Hilton.
What did I do? I wish I paid more attention.
Well,
I'd like to be like her.
You're going to hear it in the playback. It's going to be great.
All right, what's your takeaway, April? Let's move forward and stop laughing at me. Poor me. Woe is me.
Do not feel bad for you. I say the key takeaway is that if you're only looking for press that is obviously a stunt, then something wacky like this can work. But if you really want it to be authentic and read as such, it really has to be a natural extension of the brand to that influencer or to the other brand. So there has to be a bridge between you rather than you just smash something together and it's like, look, mom, you know, I made a peanut butter jelly sandwich with a pickle. Like, who does that? Why did you do that? like, you can eat it. I don't want it. Thanks, babe.
I think that I lost my train of thought. That was such a good example. I'm sure it was very salient, but let's move forward. I can't get that picture out of my head now.
So funny. I took it out of your mind.
Yes, I was going to say, the key is, I think, as well, I'd add, is look to change the way people perceive the brand into the long term, not just be a flash in the pan, change the sales needle in the short term. If you do the short term, it's not going to do anything for your brand long term, and that's a waste of your money. So your ROI on that campaign may be great, but long term value will be diminished or will be negligible. So it doesn't really matter.
Agreed.
Excellent.
Well, that brings us to my least favorite segment, communications buzzword reveal. And I already know I didn't catch yours.
I didn't catch yours either. What was your word of the day, April? Because the scores, we should recap the scores. Today, I started at 13 points and you started at 10 points. But I believe we both got in our word of the day. So it moves us to 14 and 11 because no one picked up the other one.
I know. So we're just still even Steven. Stravage.
What? I don't even know what that word means, let alone how did you get it into a conversation without me picking it up?
Because I'm amazing. So it means to wander aimlessly.
Stravage. When did you use that? That was brilliant.
Used it. Thank you. And I used it in the context of talking about how normally when we do trust analyses, we allow clients to stravage more, but we had to keep it on point with Bilal.
Oh, that's unfair. You were doing it during the session and I was on point thinking. I See what you're doing here?
Well, you were coughing.
Oh. That's unfair. That's
I mean, you
grossly
had
unfair.
finished coughing when I said it.
Yeah, I was probably trying to think what I was talking about next. Okay, well played. I'll give you that. Whatever distraction mechanisms work.
I mean, you do that to me all the time.
I do not.
What was your word?
Hokum.
Hokum? When did you say
Hokum.
hokum?
Out and out nonsense. It's bunkum. I mean, that's a very American word there. It's bunkum.
When did
I
you?
used hokum when I was talking about Yosemite Sam, going, pew, pew, yeah, I'm Yosemite Sam. That's hokum. But I use mine contextually. Yeah, so did you. Okay. Yeah.
I think we
Good
both.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Well, you're a very good competitor, Hamish Anderson.
Thank you, April. You have definitely raised the bar. You've lifted
I'm
from
still
where you first.
trying. I'm getting better.
You are. You definitely are.
Getting better.
Stravage.
Still not as sneaky as you, but working on it. So Hamish, you wanna wrap it up and say goodbye to our beloved listeners?
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today, by the way. It's been a wonderful episode. I think we've covered a lot of great territory, from the interview with Bilal to talking about the icky world of OnlyFans. So thank you very much. Remember, guys, you can tune in every 2 weeks and get us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
And please subscribe, rate, and share our show with your friends and colleagues to keep this content coming your way and grow this community of communicators. It's a mouthful.
Absolutely. You did it well.
Thanks.
Before we sign off, though, don't forget about this week's offer code.
Visit the link in the show notes below and use the code TRUSTANALYSIS10 for a chance to win a free trust analysis workshop for the first to enter. And new clients qualify, terms and conditions apply. You can check out our webpage for a full rundown of the offer details.
And I would encourage you to jump in early, because we had a few people send through for a trust analysis in the last episode. So jump in early if you want one.
Hurry up, get on it.
Get on it. Limited time deal. Okay.
Yeehaw, Yosemite Sam. All right, see you guys next time.
Bye.
So today we are going to be joined very shortly by I guess to start over. Blah. All right. That was great. Okay, he's in the waiting room. I'll let him in and I'll introduce him. At least I got that out of my system.
Did you, though?
Oh, we'll find out. I might screw it up all over again with him on the phone. Then you can laugh at me all over again.
I would never laugh at you.
You would always laugh at me. You have the creepiest laughs. They come out of nowhere.